Hello, I am Usha Rajesh Sharma and you are watching my YouTube channel School Inspires. In today's video, I am going to focus on language teaching. In this video, I will share with you certain strategies that emphasize on long-lasting learning development rather than focusing on rote learning. So before we begin, let's have a disclaimer. What are the linguistic skills that define your proficiency in a language? They are, yes, you are right, they are listening, speaking, reading and writing. Now the question is, how can you help children to develop these linguistic skills? These linguistic skills can be developed as the way they are. It means listening can be improved by more and more listening, speaking by more and more speaking, reading by reading as many books you can or the text you can, and writing by as much as you can write. Now, if you want your learners to improve their listening skills, you can suggest to them some of the activities like listening to the audio books, listening to the different type of channels like sports channels, news channels, discovery channels, so that they can catch maximum vocabulary. Because for any language development, the essence lies in the vocabulary. If the vocabulary is sound, the child will be able to understand more what he listens, he will be able to speak well, and he will be able to read and understand, and as well as compose whatever he or she wants to. Now, how to get students to talking. In the class, getting the students talking is a major challenge for most of the teachers. You keep on asking and the children won't even open up. So how can you get your students to talking? If you want them to open up and talk, then what you can do is you need to look at the textbook differently. Then what does it mean? Understand that it's not just a bundle of pages which you need to finish by the end of the academic year. The textbook is a very, very, very powerful resource. So what you need to do, that most often what we do, our first instruction to the kids about the textbook is just beginning with the cover your textbooks. This goes the first instruction. Cover your textbooks neatly and properly. But now you need to change it. How you can change it? Is it by asking them to uncover the book rather than covering the book. So what does it mean by uncovering the book? When they have the first cover page of the book in front of them, ask questions based on them. It speaks 1,000 words. Just for this example, look at this English Bal Bharati Standard 5. Rather than jumping onto the first chapter on the very first day, what you can do is spend some time discussing the cover page. You can ask them to observe the cover and say a few sentences or a sentence each about the cover of the page, how it looks, what they can say, what it wants to convey. And you can ask them to draw, color and describe it. Ask them how did they like the cover, and ask if they were to design the cover of the book, how would it be? So you will see that because each child has a different type of mindset and different observation, different type of interpretation. So after listening to them, you will see that how much this one picture speaks about. Also, you will get to know about their learning styles, whether they are the auditory learners, the visual learners, or they are kinesthetic learners, which will be of great help for you during the entire year, academic year. So this is how you can help them improve their listening skills and speaking skills. Now what about reading skills? How to improve reading skills? How do you test or improve reading skills? Any idea? Many times what happens, students learn the text by heart, either with the tuition teacher or with the parents, and they read very fast and give an impression that they can read the lesson thoroughly. And you won't have any idea whether they are reading from the memory or they are actually reading the textbook. So how can you find out? How do you know if the child is reading or citing from the memory? it is a 3-step approach to identify whether the child is reading from the memory or actually reading the text, and if the child is reading from the memory, how to improve the reading skills. So let us move ahead. The 3-step approach is test, teach, and then again test. Now you will say, without teaching, how can you test? Test before teaching. How is it possible? First we need to teach something and then test. Yes, you heard right. Now let me ask you something. If your school has 7 floors and a meeting is scheduled on the 6th floor, how many floors you are supposed to climb? Now, some of you may say 6, some of you may say 7. You will say we are standing on the basement or the ground floor. Now, the right answer would be, however, can be any 2 floor, 3 floor, 5 floors, or I may have to climb none of the floors. If you were on the ground floor, you will have to climb 6th floor. But if you are already on 5th floor, how many floors you have to climb? It will vary, isn't it? You have to climb only 2 floors. And if somebody is already on the 7th floor, you have to climb none. So the same happens with the students. A child is in 5th standard doesn't mean that he knows everything about the 5th standard level, or he can read as the ability of the child of the 5th grader. He may be still at the 3rd level, and thanks to our old education system, which says that pass students up to 8th standard without taking examination just to promote them, right? So it becomes very important to understand actually on which floor, on which level the child is. So to test that, you need to rely on textbook as a powerful resource for language teaching, right? So first what you will do, and what other benefits? One benefit is this: you understand that whether the child is reading from the memory or citing from the memory, or he is actually reading the chapter from the text. So here are some of the other benefits, like it will add excitement and child will be curious. Also, the ownership of learning is passed on to the child. Now, what you need to do for that? It will also help you to know whether the child can understand a word which is to be read in a different context. Because in English there are many words which have different meaning in different contexts. Say for example, plant. Plant is a noun, plant is a verb as well. So whether the child, and in plant as a noun also has a different meanings, right? And also to understand the reading level of the child. So what you are going to give? Test. What you will test? First with the unseen passage. When the child comes to the class, you need to test the unseen passage, because the child normally, he doesn't know that from where you are going to ask. So he may practice reading, or he may memorize the first chapter or second chapter, or the chapter which is being taught in the tuitions or at home, right? If you pick up a passage which is not from the current chapter, then what will happen? If the child is not good at reading, or if he doesn't know how to read, he will not be able to complete the task. And you will know that the child has problems with reading, and you will be able to understand the level also, that how much difficulty level the child, at which difficulty level the child is. Okay. So unseen passage, not necessary that you have to pick up from some other book. From the same textbook you can pick up, suppose the first chapter you are teaching or second chapter you are teaching, you may take a passage from 7th or 8th, any random passage from the textbook, right? Then let us understand how the words in the different context mean. For example, I had given you the example of plant. Let us here take another example of spot. What different context can you think of where the word spot can be used? What comes to your mind when we say spot? Spot has various meanings, right? So spot is a mark with different color, then surrounding area. For example, you can say the blue spot, as you can see on the picture. Then place can be a perfect picnic spot, right? Or spot is also mark or become marked with spots, the spotted dress for example, and to see or spot, the word context, right? So here what happens, the spot is used as a verb and as well as noun. Then what you need to do, after giving them different, the word which has the different meanings in different contexts, identify from the chapter and explain the meaning before you are going to teach the lesson. Okay, and giving this is very helpful when you give them the pre-learning, like the difficult words which are going to come and which has the different meanings. If you are explaining them before the teaching of the lessons, then it will be easy for the child to understand by his own self. And it is always better to explain meanings using the pictures, right? You must have seen that when if you have a small baby, or you in your neighborhood, if you have seen the siblings, then what happens when they go to the market, even if they don't know how the they don't know to read the Pepsi or the Kurkure or something like that, but if it is their favorite in the market, as soon as see that, what they will say, they will just point the finger and say, I want Kurkure, or I want Limca, or I want Pepsi. Then how do they identify? They don't know how to read, just by the images, right? So when you explain with the pictures, you show them pictures, what happens, the image is built, and for the visual learners it helps a lot, right? So now let us move how you are going to do this. Write sentences having the similar words and ask students to read. Say for example, I have continued with the same word, spot, how the spot word can be used in the different contexts, and then take another unseen passage. First you have tested, you had explained the spot word, and then take another spotted, unseen passage with similar words patterns and which you are focusing on, and ask students to read. And check if they are able to read and understand the context which is in which this word is spoken. Say for example, here I have taken a picture and framed a paragraph. See here, Riya spotted a blue spot on the floor while she was walking towards the spot where all the friends had gathered to play Holi. She saw Reshma wearing a spotted frock with a spotless colorful balloon in her hands. Now you see here, each spot is referring to a different context, right? So this way, and you can ask them question, what does this spotted, Riya spotted means, what does this blue spot means, and what does this walking towards the spot, which spot they are talking about, right? So the different context of the spot can be explained to the children. And after they have understood the meanings, then ask them to frame their own sentences using those words. Now comes the very interesting part of English teaching. Now we have grown up thinking that English, not thinking, but we have been told always that English is a funny language. Is it? Look at this picture, what it says. That if city, that is C-I-T-Y, city is read as city, not kitty, then why cat, C-A-T is read as K-A-T, not K-A-T, not S-A-T, that is cat, not sat. Very right question, isn't it? Now we often say that English is funny language, but actually it may be funny, but it is not actually as funny as we think, because there are certain rules behind many of the things which we don't know. And when we had raised the questions in our childhood, maybe we were taught it is like that only, and you have to remember it, and you have to by heart it that it is read this way only, right? So I have got here certain rules which I think every learner must know. So sharing with you to improve the vocabulary. As I told you in the beginning that the foundation, the skeleton of any language is vocabulary. If the child is good at the vocabulary, he knows the words, he will be able to master all the linguistic skills, that is listening, reading, speaking and writing. Let us come to certain rules here. C, about the C, why the C-I-T-Y is read as city, not kitty. It is C. C says, or C speaks, or C is pronounced S before an E, I or Y. For example, city, cell, center, cyst, cinema, cycle, etc. Wherever C is followed by E, I or Y, it will make a sound of S. And sound of K before everything else like copper, cute, cat, cloth, etc. Similarly, G says J. G stands for J before E, I or Y. That is gym, giant, giraffe, jam, etc. And G stands for G. Okay, before everything else like gate, goal, gully, grand. List 10 words beginning with Q and determine the rule. You must have observed that Q is usually followed by U, for example Q, queen, quill, question, etc. However, you will find many words which begin with Q and not followed by U. This is because mostly these words have their origin in some other language like Arabic, Hebrew, Chinese, etc. and they have been Romanicized, included into Roman vocabulary. Next is double F, L and S if placed at the end of the one syllable word with one vowel. For example, fill, sniff, skull and dress. Right? There may be certain exceptions to this rule also, but if you find and search in detail, there will be certain reason behind that. Okay. Now, you write sick as sick, that is S-I-C-K and not as S-I-K, and S-E-E-K-C as seek and not as S-E-E-C-K. Why? So, sometimes you are using K only and sometimes C-K. Why? How the child will come to know about the difference, where to use C-K and where to use K. So, use C-K after a short vowel, like thick, thick, pick, that way, and K after everything else like seek, cheek, break, leak, etc. A, E, O and U usually say their name at the end of a syllable. Like me. Me is a monosyllable word, single syllable word and it's ending with E. So, it gives the sound of E. Me at the end. Go. That is O. U. In U you have U. Unit. Unit is bisyllable. There are two syllables U and knit. So, U gives the sound of U. Unit, right? Words never end in V or J. A silent E is added at the end. For example, have, cave, slave. However, here again you may find many words ending in J or V, but again they are mostly the Romanicized words taken from the other languages. Now, an apostrophe contracts the letters and shortens the phrase. Like I have, that I apostrophe VE is for I have, aren't for are not, couldn't for could not, I'll for I will, right? So, these are certain rules. If they are explained to the children, they will be less confused with the English language and will not find it so much funny, right? Now, how to improve the vocabulary? For improving the vocabulary, picture reading. If you have certain things to explain, many things can be introduced through the pictures. For example, sick, fever, thermometer, all these three words can be explained using this picture or through the picture reading. You can use games like improving vocabulary in innovative ways. You can use Pictionary. Pictionary is a game where the various pictures are used together to frame a word. Say for example here, can you just guess which word it is? There are certain notes, new currency notes, and there is a cow. Any guesses? Yes, it is a cash cow, right? Now, similarly the other images, pictures can be used to teach them idioms and phrases. Let us see how much, whether you can guess these words or not, these phrases or not. What does this picture represent? Could you guess? They are dancing shoes. The picture says broken heart, playing with the fire, and in a nutshell. Isn't it the interesting, engaging way? Children will like this very much and will be excited to play such type of games in which they learn without mugging up. They know the idioms and phrases, right? Then use thematic scheme while giving them the dictation words, like lexical group. What are the lexical groups? That is belonging to same theme, sounds like emotions, attributes, etc. So how do you choose dictation words? Introduce words in a group of words. Say for example, emotions. If you are giving the emotion, you are explaining one emotion, then give the as many possible words which express the emotions, like happy, sad, cross, jealous, angry, furious and excited, etc. Then sounds of the can be metal sounds or various different types of sound, like clanking of chains. So if you are explaining it with clanking of chains, the child will always associate the chain sound with the clanking. Tinkling of bell and shattering of glass, thundering of clouds, rustling of leaves and squeaking of brakes, like that. Animal sounds can be like hissing of snake, roaring of lion, braying of donkeys, squeaking of mouse. So always give the dictation words in such thematic groups. That will be also helpful. Now these I have already explained to you, listing the emotion and all. Now for the quantifiers. Quantifiers, that is use real objects followed by the flashcards. So first you can show them the real picture, real specimens like some rice, the glass, the half filled or half empty, then the 2 mangoes or a basket of mangoes or a bunch of grapes, and after that in the follow-up studies you can use the flashcard for the same. Now in this session, not only this how to improve their linguistic skills like listening, reading, speaking and writing, we are focusing giving little emphasis on the helping struggling and motivating high performers as well. So what can be done to help these children? How do you help strugglers? What you need to do is to help strugglers, the main thing is they need to have the confidence, right? So for them, speak slow and make it possible. Make it seem possible that if you create an impression that English is a tough language and they will not be able to understand, so they will give up or they will be disinterested in learning the language. But if you go slow a little bit, be patient with them and increase the wait time for the responses. If you are asking question, if the answer is not coming quickly, just don't ask the another child. For the strugglers, you need to be little patient and give little more think time. And build relationship, bonding, that is rapport building is very important with especially with the slow learners, which are the strugglers, right? To build a relationship to create trust so that the child doesn't hesitate to ask and share his problems with you. Ask questions, ask to visualize, use as many pictures and ask to predict. And keeping high performers motivated is as much as important and challenging as it is encouraging the strugglers. So if you avoid the high performers, understanding or knowing that they already know and they will be able to sail through easily, they might lose interest further in studies. So it is very important to keep them highly motivated. So what you can do to keep them motivated? Ask them to summarize the things, predict the things, recreate a story or passage. You can, if the story, a chapter is there, you can ask them to start the same story with a different beginning or to end the same story with a different climax. So this type of challenges you can see, you can ask them to summarize or expand the idea. You can call the children in front and ask them to share the views, right? Acknowledge and appreciate, that is very important for both, that is strugglers as well as high performers. You give them appreciation cards, appreciation messages, etc., which will go a long way in building the vocabulary and language, and they will always remember you as the wonderful teacher who taught them how to learn a language. So, and for reading as it goes, as I told you, that you should suggest as many as books they can read. And the books are available on thousands and lakhs of topics and on the various areas. It's not necessary that they need to read only the textbooks. They can pick up any book of their interest and read as much as they want, and they will definitely build a very good language vocabulary. And for writing, ask them to write anything, give them the random topics from their daily life, from their experience, their future imagination, or essays. As you give the different types of essays that you are going to, you can ask them to write their own stories or write the poetry if the child has the flair for writing, and thus you can help them improve reading as well as writing skills. Thus, I have tried my best to cover all the linguistic skills here: listening, speaking, reading and writing, as well as how to build the vocabulary. I had read somewhere that if a person knows 3,000 words of a language, then he can speak any language with proficiency. So we must focus on building vocabulary. And in near future, I will definitely come with some other topics if I have something to add on to this video. Hope you liked this video. If you liked it, please hit the like button and share with maximum number of people so that it benefits them. Not yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe channel now and press the bell icon so that you get the notification as soon as the new video is uploaded and you don't miss any such interesting content. So like you to connect with me on Facebook and Instagram, and both the accounts are with the name usha.trainer. Instagram at usha.trainer and Facebook at usha.trainer, as well as we have Facebook page and Instagram page as School Inspires. On Facebook we have the name with the School Inspires only, and on Instagram with school_inspires. So please do visit and follow. See you soon. Till then, goodbye and take care.